I'm Michael Kelly. I hope you enjoy this story about the dumbest thing that I have ever done. The year was 1996, and Taylor Robinson, Chuck Brantley, and myself had the day off of school on Monday. It was Sunday afternoon, and we were bored. We didn't know exactly what three good church-going, Bible-believing, Jesus-loving teenagers should be involved in when they clearly should be involved in something. This boredom led us to a field outside of a small town in West Texas to do something that any good Bible-believing, Jesus-loving, church-going teenagers should be involved in. It led us to light fireworks. Now, the problem with doing that was that in 1996, the Texas Panhandle, where I grew up, was suffering from the worst drought in 50 years. It had not rained, snowed, sleeted, dewed, or hailed in some 5 months. And to further complicate that situation, it's not uncommon during the spring months in West Texas for the wind to blow 40 or 50 miles per hour each day. What an amazing afternoon to stand in a field of dead grass and light firecrackers. So we began with some small-time explosives, Black Cats, M60s, and stuff like that. But if you've ever lit those kind of fireworks, you know that the fun that comes from them lasts about 7 seconds. So we decided to move on to something a little bit more fun, and we dug around in a box and found a small but lethal device called a flasher. It's appropriately named because when you drop the flasher after you have lit it, it shoots multicolored flames in every direction. So just about the time that the match was going to the fuse of the flasher, in the midst of the dead grassland and the wind blowing and the drought of West Texas, some part of our brain started to tell us that maybe this wasn't the best idea. Maybe it wasn't the best idea to light an explosive device in this particular setting. However, there's a funny thing about male brains. There's sort of a battle that goes on consistently inside of male brains, between the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. And on the left side of our brain, we heard something like, "Don't do it. Don't do it. It's dangerous. Something bad could happen. Fire plus dead grass does not equal good things." But on the right side of our brain, an equally strong voice was saying, "Oh, but fireworks are really cool." And so we decided to find a way for the two halves of our brain to shake hands, and we compromised by saying we would indeed light the flasher, and we would indeed drop it, but we would not drop it directly on the ground. We would drop it inside of a plastic Powerade bottle and then drop that on the ground. And after we lit the firework, dropped it in the bottle, and dropped it on the ground, there was just enough time to curse under our breath when bad stuff started happening. 6 hours later, we were sitting in my friend's living room. No hair on our legs, no hair on our eyebrows, wondering what the future would hold for us. The next few months played out in a really graceful sort of way. We were fortunate that we had lit the fire outside of the city limits. There was not a burn ban that day. And none of the folks whose land was destroyed decided to press charges on us. They took an incredible amount of pity on 3 stupid teenagers. And over the years, as I look back at that day, I realized that that day holds 2 special meanings for me. The first meaning is the fact that it was, frankly, the worst day of my life. It was the most dramatic day of my life. It was the most trouble that I've ever been in. There could not have been a worse day up to that point in my life. But it's interesting because even though it was the worst day of my life, I also have to say that it was probably the most pure day of my life. That purity didn't come from my ability to clean up my motives and actions. My actions were out for everyone to see. It was clearly visible in 125 acres of charred, burned grassland, and my motives were just as on display. The motive was stupidity. The motive was boredom. The motive was absolute, ludicrous unsensibility. It was absolutely stupid for us to do. The purity came because in that moment, on that day, for those hours, I was so desperate for someone, anyone, to rescue me that I didn't have time, I didn't have the thought, I didn't have the effort to try to clean up my motives or my actions.